Hello! Welcome back to Traveling Through Life, a podcast on the go. I'm your host, Tara, and the founder of the blog Travel with TMc, which is the big sister to this podcast. It's also where you'll find free destination guides, points and miles consulting for Canadians, a little bit of van life behind the scenes, and much more. To me, travel has always been about connection, discovery, and stories. I've never been a big fan of social media, and especially of how it's changed the travel experience. I am so grateful that my first time moving overseas was in 2012 when blogs were in their infancy and social media was barely a whisper. Ironic, I know, since I work in the industry and use these platforms. It's a constant internal back and forth with how to contribute meaningfully and pay my bills. I'm thrilled to finally publish the conversations that were recorded for season 2 in the spring and summer of 2025. My guests are a mix of individuals that you might recognize from the online travel landscape, and they're also likely people that you've never heard of before. That's because the goal with this podcast is to broaden the conversation around travel and to amplify everyday voices, including yours. Unlike most of what we see online, though there is a shift happening away from the curated, glossy feeds, my hope is that you'll hear and see yourself reflected in these stories and the people who tell them, like the person who travels on the weekends because they work a 9 to 5, or the family who's learning how to travel with kids, or hearing from kids themselves. I also chat with friends and colleagues who work in the industry, individuals who've moved abroad and are digging into destinations in ways that you can only do when you relocate, and those whose lives seem so on the fringe from what you may be used to, yet their stories still spark connection. It's podcast comments and reviews like the one from @HeyThereSteveB that absolutely light up my day and fuel the late night editing sessions. Here's what he had to say. I think it was episode 4 that was a top one for me so far. The bit about traveling with kids was a great perspective to hear. I've always described my wife and I as budding travelers because we haven't done any crazy trips. We've gone far enough into Europe and the Caribbean to want to do much more, but we have a 21-month-old, so we've largely paused on a lot of travel due to our own comfort level of traveling with him still. It was great to hear her perspective on her own travels and with kids. The bit about teaching in North Korea, too, was fascinating. To be honest, I could have probably listened to a whole episode just on stories from that time in her life. Thanks, Steve. We've got another one from listener Pritesh. Officially done season 1. Just finished listening to it on my way back to Mississauga from Kitchener right now. Incredible stuff. Loved the variety of travel styles and perspectives shared. Definitely something to be learned from every one of them. I really want to meet Kevin at some point in my life now, too, and bring him some of that KW love. And you have no idea how much I appreciated you calling it the Sky Dome in the episode with Kinsey and Coral. It will forever be the Sky Dome to me, and no amount of money exchanging hands will change that. And what a lovely end to the season with your own story. Thank you so much for sharing, Tara. I'm going to share the podcast with others and will definitely keep listening and viewing. Thank you so much to Steve and Pritesh for sending those in, and to everybody else who's left a comment, who sent me a message, who's rated the podcast, and especially those who have shared it with others. If you've missed season 1, may I suggest starting from the beginning? A wise woman once sung, "It's a very good place to start." To give you a little preview of the incredible guests from season 1 and 2, they include passionate tour operators from Ireland and Canada who share their love of food, history, and slow travel with their guests, an Indian couple and their 2 dogs who completed the Pan American Highway in their vintage camper van, a Canadian blogger who grew up traveling for sports, a teenager who moved to New Zealand by herself, a bicultural family who travels using points and miles to visit family overseas, a hitchhiker who slept in some very surprising places, and my mom, my inspiration to start traveling the world. Before we continue, can I ask you a small favor? Would you take a moment to please subscribe and leave a 5-star review? It won't take much time, it's easy to do, and it's free. It also has a huge impact on the show being able to reach a wider audience. Better yet, send this show to somebody that you know also loves travel and would enjoy these stories. Thank you so much for your support of Traveling Through Life, a podcast on the go. Before you push play on the first episode of Season 2, I'd be remiss if I didn't leave you with one more thought. It's Saturday, January 17th of 2026 as I record this intro, and all of the other intros to the episodes in Season 2 were also recorded at the beginning of this year. The world feels more unstable and hostile than ever before, at least in my short lifetime. It's difficult to turn on the news, and it's hard to know what to trust online with all of the fake AI sludge. May I offer you this? Our neighbors at home and our neighbors overseas are the same. They love their families and friends. They work hard to make a good life. They contribute to their communities, and they hope for a better world for future generations. It's important that we stay informed and aware, that we extend kindness and compassion, and that we remember that goodness and warmth is more prevalent than negativity. I've seen it time and again with my own eyes, both at home and while exploring distant corners of our beautiful world. Thank you so much for tuning in, for sharing these conversations and stories with us on this podcast. Take care, chin up, and lead with kindness always. See you later.